what?
Are you still doing the bid opening first?
No,
No.
we'll let them go,
Okay.
because,
That's fine.
yeah. We're gonna rearrange the schedule and let, the mayors, both mayors and,
Like, I just need to know.
big buyers just talk about the
I said,
climate
you're like, I
change,
just want to know.
contract, but we won't vote on it till it's on the agenda. They just want to do their little presentation, collaboration between all three jurisdictions. Okay, yep, let's go. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. It's nice to see all these bodies here. Anyway, I think we're going to, before we approve the minutes, we're going to kind of juggle our agenda, and we have three guests with us. Well, Tony's not a guest, but Mayor Dennis and Commissioner Byers are. They're going to kind of talk about the Greeley and Hansen contract with the climate action plan.
See, I'm no longer a guest. You're never really welcome in your own
Yeah.
home, you know.
I should have said
John, why
distinguished.
don't you kind of stand over here on this side there?
Let me come back.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate your indulgence moving the agenda around. Dave needs to be out at the SIA plant at 9:30, so we want to make sure that we get him out there on time. As Cindy said, a little bit later on in the agenda, there's going to be an actual contract with Greeley and Hansen that all three local units of government have joined into together to work on a climate change action plan for the community. As you know, West Lafayette started one a couple years ago now, and they've moved through the process. We got started earlier this year, and unfortunately COVID kind of put a damper on things, and we're gearing back up. And as we got talking, Margie Deverall, who's helping head that up for us, meeting with Lindsay Payne and other folks from the Grow Greener Commission in West Lafayette, you know, as we typically do here, we came back to the same conclusion. We need to all be working on this together. How can we do things to join these plans into one comprehensive plan for the whole county to look at addressing climate change and environmentally friendly practices and water quality and things like that. We do a lot of that now through REC together, so why not do all of this together and combine those resources? So this contract with Greeley and Hansen will kind of help us get that process started. So with that, I will turn it over to Mayor Dennis for a few comments, and then Commissioner Byers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's really not much more to add. I mean, I think that we have always tried to lead by example, and we've done it on both sides of the river in Tippecanoe County as well. One of the basic things that we did is we tried to make sure that we had an understanding of where we stand currently, which is always a challenge. There's so many metrics that need to be taken and so many different measurements that need to be applied to how we figure out the best way to move forward. The second thing is making sure that we don't have an adverse impact on our local economy. That's always a challenge to do. When you look at specifically the city of West Lafayette with Purdue University, we have a lot of resources, both deliberately and non-deliberately, that provide us the necessary guidance to move forward in a logical and practical way. But more importantly, we have a lot of examples of other cities and towns, not just throughout the country, but throughout the world. In some cases, we're much more progressive than some. In other cases, we have some catching up to do. But I think the important thing to remember is that if we don't start now, we'll be so far behind the curve, it'll almost be impossible to get to where we need to be. There's a strong grassroots effort, not just here in Greater Lafayette, but in the country, to try and make sure we do things in a more socially acceptable way when it comes to being green and taking care of our environment. The good news is that it's being generally led by folks who are, and I hope I don't offend anybody, younger than this group right here. Notice I'm not looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know who's back there.
I got your back.
Yeah. But and that's something that's really positive, not just for us currently, but for our future. When we look at what we do here in our local community, we always need to make sure we look at our development opportunities and what's going to be coming forward to our community. We need to make sure that we look at increasing the profitability of being green. You know, a lot of what we did in the first stages of recycling, if you remember back in the early days of recycling, there was a lot of money to be made. Well, the market's been saturated, and the international market's been overwhelmed, and so we're not necessarily in a position to be able to brag about those kind of numbers like we used to. But it's still the right thing to do, and there's still a lot of reusable products that come through recycling. The other things that we do are more of a social conscience sort of way. You know, all of us have kids, some of us have grandkids, and some of us might even have great-grandkids. And we want to make sure that the world that we pass off is a world that they're going to be able to live and thrive in. So it's an honor to be here, and it's always nice to stand next to Tony.
Thanks, John.
I think that initially the scary part of this whole deal is that John was the actual initial leader. So that's the part that who doesn't want clean water? Who doesn't want good air to breathe? Who doesn't want to leave the world a better place the next day? I think I can say as a farmer, we've always tried to be good stewards of the ground, and we always try to take sure we're not getting chemicals in the water, we're not spreading things out. I think this is a very interesting starting point. As we look at the old landfill that we had to work with, you know, and put that, you know, it's slowly becoming delisted, and so hopefully we can take a brown spot and turn it into a green spot and things like that. And so it's really, once again, all three entities working together. And we've been the MV throughout the state because we work together. And I think that's the one thing we all have to compliment. So thank you very much for your time, and look forward to see what the results come out on this.
Thanks, Dave. I'll let you scoot out of here.
Thank you.
John, you can go too, yeah. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. I know, yeah, bridesmaid. Okay, thank you guys very much for coming this morning. All right, next on the agenda, we will approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as communicated?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, same sign. And then we have a bid opening for the Brady Lane Drainage Improvement Project. I think we got 3 bids this morning. Okay, the first one is from Midwest Paving out of Noblesville. And their base bid is $81,034.20. $81,034.20.
Does that go with it, the first one? No?
No, that's 5 minutes. All right, the next one is from Atlas. And their base bid is $158,371. $158,371. And the last one is from Milestone. And their base bid is $118,180. $118,180. And I think that concludes our bids. I want to thank everyone for turning bids in, and I'll take a motion to put those bids under review.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, same sign. Thank you. New business, engineering. Have a change order on Twickenham.
Good morning, Jeremy Grenard, city engineer. This morning we have 3 different change orders from 3 different projects. The first one is change order number 4 for Twickenham Boulevard reconstruction. This change order is due to a change in scope because we asked the contractor to move a sidewalk from adjacent to the road back behind some trees. We had a wide easement in that location. We had the property owner ask us to shift it away from the roadway. That way, during the winter when they're plowing snow, they're not throwing snow up on the sidewalk. And it's also safer for pedestrians as well. So by shifting the sidewalk, the contractor will no longer be able to slip form this section of the sidewalk. The added cost is due to the additional labor and materials to manually place it. The change order increases the contract price by $8,896, bringing the total to $3,502,281.42 for a total of 0.47% in change orders. And we're requesting your approval of this change order.
Okey-doke. Do I have a motion to approve change order number 4 with Twickenham Boulevard?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions for Jeremy?
How much distance are we talking about here?
We're talking several hundred feet. We worked with this property owner plus 2 adjacent property owners to be able to, it's a pretty long section.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you.
The second one is change order number 1, which is the final change order for 2019 CDBG curb, sidewalk, drive approach, and ramp replacement project. During construction, we directed the contractor to add some additional curb and sidewalk, and this is the reconciliation in the final quantities. The change order increases the contract price by $8,341.25, bringing the total to $235,589.50 for a total of 3.7% in change orders. We're requesting your approval.
Is there a motion to approve change order number 1 and final for the 2019 CDBG sidewalk program?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Jeremy?
Do we have a signed copy?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks. One more here.
And the third one is also change order number 1, the final change order for Haggerty Point Storm Sewer Extension. This is also reconciliation of the final quantities. It is for a deduct of $9,288.91, bringing the total to $332,083.09, which is beneath the original bid price. We're requesting your approval of this change order.
Is there a motion for the change order number 1 on Haggerty Point Storm Sewer Extension?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, other questions for Jeremy?
I assume we have a signed.
Other than we like those
Thank you.
deductions.
I saved the best for last.
Yeah, oh, thanks. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks, Jeremy. Economic development, we have historic demolition permit. John Collier's up here.
Good morning, John Collier, Economic Development. You have before you a request for a garage demolition only at 1409 North 15th Street in Lafayette. Because the property is listed as contributing in the Tippecanoe County interim report, this was reviewed by Dan Kaiser, the Historic Preservation Officer, and he believes that the loss of the garage would be a loss of an historic resource for the city, and he recommends that the board maintain the 60-day waiting period.
Okay. As we all know, our role here is to uphold or waive the 60-day waiting period. Do I have a motion to approve the historic demolition permit?
So moved.
Second.
And the board's pleasure is to uphold the 60-day waiting period?
I have one question. Apparently, the angle of the photograph shows something that's not exactly there structurally. Looks like it's leaning. There are 3 photographs, a plot, 2, and the one on the right.
Yeah, it's just from Google Earth, so
Okay.
it's just a...
And it's
that's not-
structurally
It-
sound.
I mean, it's
Sound. Okay.
it's not in great shape, but it's not, I don't think there's any fear of it falling down in the next 60 days.
Picture makes it appear like it's about to fall over.
Yeah,
I saw that
sorry.
too, yeah. So, okay, we have a motion, and a second to uphold the 60-day waiting period. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next, we have our contract with Greeley and Hanson that we just had a presentation from both mayors and Commissioner Byers. Let's get this on the table, and then if Margie wants to add a few more comments, we can certainly ask her. Is there a motion to approve the contract with Greeley and Hanson for the climate action plan?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All right, Margie.
Okay. I was just going to ask you to consider it.
Oh.
But this is something that we've been working on since the first public meeting that we had back in February. So in my capacity working for the Economic Development Department, I'm working for the mayor's office on this project. So making that shift to having it a joint plan with both cities and county is big. I think that's a very wise decision, and we're the first ones in the state to do it. So getting someone like Greeley and Hanson on board up front at the beginning so that we've got, good groundwork going, it is important. So, and then Maitland Dawes is here from Greeley and Hanson if you have any questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're sharing the costs with both.
Yeah,
all
that's
three
right. And that
jurisdictions.
was one of the benefits when we talked about doing it together. It's like you could pay, each person could pay this identical price to have their own plan, but if we do it together and there's cost and we hire consultants, then we share that 3 ways.
Mhm.
So,
All right, are there any questions for Margie or our representative from Greeley and Hanson?
What do we expect the cost to be to complete? I assume this is an open-ended contract?
well, right now, in the information that Greeley and Hanson put together for us, they divided the overall process into like 5 phases to completion of plan. And what you're looking at is just the first 2 phases. And so that's a little over $30,000. So each of us will pay, I think it's about $11,000. Going forward, we can put out an RFP, and they'll even help us with that, to get a consultant to help us do phases 3, 4, and 5. We may hire them, we may hire someone else. But what we're learning from the organizations that we're working with, where we can do work and get information that's free, they're saying, this is like a 2-year process. So it isn't something that's going to be done by the end of the year or, even a year from now. So, those next phases, I can't predict. I do know that Bloomington put out an RFP, and I'm not sure exactly what their scope was, but I mean, from start to finish, and it was going to be a $300,000 contract. So there is expense coming down the line, but we are also, as I said, we're working with the IU Resilience Institute. We're going to become part of the cohort with the class that they have starting in January. And through that, we get free training, free advice. We work with Purdue. West Lafayette is as far as they are right now because a senior design class worked with them to gather the greenhouse gas information. And so, one of the members of the Lafayette Steering Committee works for Purdue, and she's the one who works with those senior design classes. So we'll be able to, that's another resource that we have that's going to save us money. So in the end, I hope it doesn't cost $300,000, but these initial phases, just to get us off the ground in the right direction, with 3 jurisdictions, rather than someone like me trying to herd cats, we will have a professional help us do that.
I think that's a good idea, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions or comments for
Thank you.
Marjorie?
Okay.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, next we have purchasing.
Good morning, Dave Payne, Purchasing Manager. The IT department is requesting that that I ask you to declare an HP Pro 600 all-in-one PC as worthless. It's out of warranty, it no longer works, and it'll be e-cycled.
All righty, do I have a motion to approve this worthless property?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks. Police Department, I don't know. Oh, Pat's here. Okay. We're going to transfer ownership for one of our canines.
Good morning, Patrick Flanley, Chief of Police. Before you have the canine ownership transfer agreement. Our canine Roy has reached the end of his working days, and he's going to be transferred to the ownership of Lieutenant Nick Amore from LPD, who will assume responsibility for canine Roy from today forward.
All right.
Ask you to
Do I have a motion to approve the canine ownership transfer?
So moved.
Second? Okay. How old is Roy?
Well, you never really know how old they are, but he's been in service 8 years.
I know
didn't
how
know how
old my
old
dog
they
is. And when his birthday is. Okay, sorry. Too much.
Well, that's a longer discussion.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Thanks. All right. Claims.
Good morning, Tim Clary, Controller. The Controller's Office has processed and reviewed the claims in the amount of $116,183.24. We ask for your approval.
All right, is there a motion to approve the claims as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And I think we have one abstention. Amy is abstaining. Are there any questions for Tim at this time? Any further questions? I think Norm had one earlier, but I think I answered it for him.
Yeah, I think you did too. The number 7, big 7, MSA face pieces for Jeff Academy. That's for the Fire Academy. Okay.
Right at Jeff High School, the education program there. Yep.
On Big 9, there's one for Fire Station number 5 HVAC project, which I'm trying to dredge my memory. We had a problem with one of the fire stations with mold humidity. That's right. And is this that project?
Yes, it is.
And it's the end of it, I'm guessing, since the invoice is so small?
Yes, in fact, yeah, it was a $51,000 contract, and according to the latest pay app, there's about $500 left on that original contract, so,
Good. I was hoping that that problem had been completely addressed.
yeah.
Then on final, Big 13, there are several invoices for Loeb Stadium. This may be for Jeremy as well. Where are we at on those contracts?
On a percentage basis,
Yeah.
all these are through the end of August. Custer Electric, 97. MNO B. Madsen, 52. Houston Electric, 33. Allmet Inc., 68. J.R. Kelly, 57. And Share Masonry, 82%.
Oh, relatively halfway there. That's an outstanding looking project.
Hopefully we'll be here in a week, this week, or maybe next week to start putting in the turf, actually.
Wow. That's all I had. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Next up, we have an animal control appeal, but if I'll excuse all the department heads if they would like to go at this time, and then we will continue on with our next item. No. No, didn't buy it.
Well, there was an email.
Oh.
It had all the, I guess I can go find it.
It's-
When did she send that?
Friday. This is all it
Was that
is.
from Mindy?
Yeah.
Is the animal control of this technically part of the Board of Works meeting, or is it separate?
I mean, it's part of it. I mean,
Okay.
Well, I did. I don't.
I thought I remembered
here,
us
that's-
recessing before.
we have, but I mean, there's no reason to stick around longer than we need to, so.
Take it outside.
Before we get out of here today, Josh, I got an interesting anecdote to share with you.
Yeah. All right. Later.
Yeah. Okay, next on our agenda, we have an animal control appeal. At this point, I'll turn it over to our city attorney and kind of let her give us a little background.
Sure. We are here today for an animal control appeal. This is an appeal by Chris Moberg for his dog, Nikolai, who was subject to a nuisance animal agreement. And then that nuisance animal agreement, there was a subsequent violation, at which time animal control impounded the animal. The owner did submit a timely appeal to the clerk's office, appealing that impoundment, and that is what we are here for today. So I will let Animal Control go over their history and how we got here, and then the board can ask questions, and then the owner can provide a statement.
How you guys doing? Chief Animal Control Officer Josh Clumpy. So it's very hard to go through the entire background with Nico because there's a lot of it. I have been dealing with this dog for probably the better part of my career. He likes to get out. Mr. Moberg is a relatively new owner, but I believe still lives in the same home that the dog frequently gets loose from. Again, it is, I mean, he's been to the shelter almost a dozen times, and he's been out, more times than he's been to the shelter as well, because we've taken him home multiple times. He's actually had 2 nuisance animal agreements, but the first one was filed many, many years ago, before we had the systems in place that we do now. So that one was invalid, and it doesn't happen. I have no ill will towards the owners or and Mr. Moberg. It's just gotten to the point, and animal control is all about pet retention. I want you to have your dog. I want you to have, a nice long life. And Nico's, 10 years old now? Yeah, Nico's 10 years old. Again, I've been dealing with him since he was a young pup. So it's just kind of all came to a head. And at this point, it's unfortunate because Nico just needs a house to retire in and be fine. But he's getting older. He's getting a little more grumpier every once in a while. And, if there's a German Shepherd running loose around the Pullen Hill Road, it's Nico. So, again, it got to the point where I just opened up the door and tell Nico to get in the truck. So, yeah. Again, no ill will towards the owners or anything like that, but it's just a lot. He's been out a lot. So.
He's not mean. He hasn't bitten anyone.
No, he hasn't bitten anybody. There's only one instance where a Good Samaritan picked him up, took him to the shelter, and he was a little grumpy inside their car. So did we stick him out of there? Yeah, we had to control stick him out of that car. So he's just getting old. He's an old German Shepherd, and he's we all get a little crotchety in our old age. So.
So so currently the dog is.
He's at almost home. Yeah. Which is, again, not a place I want him to be at. He's an old dog and just needs a place to calm down. But they've had multiple chances to remedy the situation, and we've heard it all before. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, and at the end of the day, it doesn't work.
You mentioned that Mr. Mossberg is a
Moberg
is a recent owner.
Yeah, it's a little confusing because you live in the same house, right? Okay, same house, but now he's claiming ownership instead of the other owners. So he can explain that. He's in the same house that he gets loose from all the time. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, it doesn't.
How recent?
Well, he needs to come up and talk. He's going to talk.
Yeah. Mr. Moberg, would you come to the microphone?
Yeah, here, I'll let you
If we're going to talk to him, then let's talk to him.
I do apologize. I understand the circumstances. I understand your guys' case. It's a dog. It's a German Shepherd. And if this dog was violent towards kids or anything like that, I wouldn't even be here. But that was actually the first time that since I've been there that dog actually got loose. Before I hadn't been there, and the problem was where he's climbing the fence at. We're getting ready to get a private fence right now, and I had one little section of it, and I put it in front where he's climbing it at. He's got separation anxiety, whatever. He just freaks out every time anybody leaves, and so I fixed that problem. Then he started getting over in another area. So and the morning that he got out, it was literally like 10 minutes. I was just brushing my teeth and getting ready to leave, and I went out, and he slipped through his collar and climbed the fence. He thought I was in the front yard. If I even cut the grass in the front yard, he just, that's what kind of dog he is. But I understand the situation. I got a concrete pad, it's right on the property line in the back corner, and I was going to put a chain link fix there, and I got the city coming out because I didn't know because it's right on the property line, and I don't know if I'm legal to do that or not.
Do you own the house? Are you the owner?
My fiance is.
So it's legal for you to improve the fence.
Yes.
And your fiance agrees?
Yes, she does. She's at work in Subaru.
Was she the previous owner?
Yeah, yes.
So how come, any idea, she's not here, but how come she's never fixed the fence before?
Well, she has a problem speaking English,
Oh.
So that part kind of like there's usually not a translator, and like she works a lot and everything, and that's probably what happened before was with the dog, but like it was when somebody went to work. But that's not now the dog's always got somebody around it, and it's a good family dog, like her daughters play with it a lot, and it's just it's not a violent dog by any means. He's just a protective dog of the home or whatever, but he's great with kids. If there's a kid around he's never even seen, that's his natural instinct. Like he doesn't harm anybody. So
she wanted the dog, you want the dog. You love the dog. You want to keep the dog.
Yes, please.
See, well, the issue is over and over. According to the department, he's so familiar to them, he jumps in the truck.
Right, and I understand, and that's like I took over with that situation the very first time that he got out. Like she was like, I can't get my dog back, and the daughters were freaking out. She's like, no, he's on a nuisance order, and I was like, man, they can't just keep your dog, can they? I don't know. And this is in the process when I was moving in.
Like the officer said, nobody wants to take your dog. Nobody wants to euthanize the dog, but you are living in the city. The city has rules. There are reasons for those ordinances that were created because of nuisances. And other people don't love your dog as much as you do, like your neighbors. I'm inclined to once again try to work with you. It would be my inclination here, but we can't keep talking about this. They can't keep expending their time to deal with the dog if the message isn't received. So unless you're committed, more than just getting over the language barrier, somebody has to build an enclosure for the dog, or this is just going to be a sad repeat down the road.
I promise you, anytime anything has happened since I've been involved, I've made improvements. And I have the fence, everything right there where the concrete pad is. I called 188 dig. They're coming out this week, so like I have everything right there. And I promise you, I'm taking care of the situation. Like I'm not just like going to work and he's just running free or anything like that. He's inside the house, and then when we go to work, he'll have a fenced-in concrete pad to where he can't dig underneath it, he can't climb it. It's going to have a roof.
Yeah, I'll let other people ask questions. I just want you to know that we have a hard-working team here that is needed all over the city. It gets bigger all the time, and I would be personally disappointed and not very forgiving if this were to happen again. If we reach a point today where your dog gets returned, because we can't do it.
I understand that.
Well, I hope you do, because it's really that's the message from me. Everybody else can add in with their thoughts.
I think you spoke well, Ron. I think that's right on point.
Well, thank you very much.
I feel like if we do return the dog, and we should probably, can we give them a time limit to have the fence put up and erected? Is that something we have the ability to do?
Yeah, I think in resolution of the appeal, you can impose any conditions that you want. We do that sometimes on the nuisance agreements itself. When we return dogs for the first time, if there are certain conditions that need to be included, we include those, and so the board can do that as well.
Do you have any recommendations along those lines, or I don't want to put you on the spot?
As far as recommendations of what to
allow
well, I don't want to step on what your guys' role is to make those decisions.
I mean, in terms of parameters that we can say, a timeline or something.
I think that you can say a timeline. You could choose to say that the enclosure needs to be built before the dog is released from the shelter. I think that you've got anything that you think is a reasonable solution that would allow the return of the dog. It's within your authority to do.
And that was what was on my mind, is that the dog is returned at the point that there's proof that the shelter has been constructed and the dog can be contained.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems with that.
Who would you further have a thought on who checks that?
I'd say, and I hate to put burdens back onto animal control, but it'd be animal control to go look and be able to verify. I think if this is the direction you're going, what you can do is direct that the dog stay at almost home. for right now. Once the enclosure is built, he can contact Animal Control. Animal Control can go out and look at it if they believe that is a sufficient enclosure, meets any requirements that needs to be, that at that point, a release of the dog from almost home with all the fees that'll be associated with it, of course, would have to be paid as well. And I think that if that's what you wanted to do, we could do that.
And this would be your last chance to
I understand that.
appeal.
I do. Thank you guys very much.
Josh, as you spoke, you seemed relatively worn out by this over the 10-year period. Are you willing to work to put some closure on it?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I always tell people I hope we never meet again.
Yeah.
Not the same thing.
Well, and this also, it kind of holds your feet to the fire a little bit, that we're serious and they're serious, and that we're not always the death penalty, really. This board isn't, but I mean, we try to work with you as well, and I think giving you a second chance, I think you're sincere about it.
Yeah.
And if Animal Control feels like the dog's, you got a good enclosure, then I'm good with returning the dog after that.
I am as
So
well.
I guess we would make a motion that, as soon as you have that built, and then you go through, as the attorney said, you'd have to retrieve your dog from almost home. And
Okay.
you could,
And that
Dog-
Animal Control will be involved in
Yeah.
making an assessment, once it's built, that it's sufficient.
that's a lot of motion.
So the
but-
weather's supposed to be nice the rest of the week.
Right. Yeah. I showed him when he got the dog what I was getting ready to do, and what I was delaying it or whatever. So I brought him back there before, so he knows the area, like what my plans are with it. But
Okay,
So
all
the
right.
motion is he will construct the
Enclosure.
Enclosure,
enclosure, and he will call Animal Control to have it checked,
and
and
then,
that it is sufficient to contain the dog before the dog is released.
and then he can go and take care of the business.
And all
almost home.
fees would be
Yeah,
paid
and of course,
before
obviously,
the dog's
any
released.
fees would have to be paid to almost home that are due.
So
Is
it's,
there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
all right,
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thanks. All right.
very
back
much.
to you.
Thank
Yep.
you guys.
Principal's office, that's all I have to say.
No,
No kidding.
I do that with employees more than kids.
Oh, I'd like to, the meeting's adjourned. Sorry, I guess I should say that.
So Josh, I gotta share with you. We have a